What is good, everybody? Welcome to a Phone Line Friday on this beautiful Friday in the Northeast. It's St. Patty's Day weekend. I got the green over there. Look right here. We're in the vibe right now. It's a beautiful weekend. Like I said, the temperatures are rising. College basketball's in full swing. NFL news is in full swing. You have NHL and NBA in the thick of their races at the end of their seasons, and we're over here just cooking. And I couldn't be happier to be joined by all you guys. Thank you for coming on this phone call Friday. Hit the link. It's in the chat. I want to see you guys come and join me. I got my two homies, Mr. El Jefe and Eli Rax. They're taking a break today. Your boy's carrying it, okay? Mr. Glass Half Full's carrying it, and I want to kind of open up the phone lines to all the fans out there that want to have something to say, on this Friday. Don't worry about work right now. Don't worry. Take your lunch, come join me, and let's talk whatever's on your mind. Giants, Jets, Knicks, Rangers, college basketball, life itself, whatever it is, I'm here for you guys. And what I want to talk about first, and I'm going to open up the phone lines, like I said, to everybody. But what I want to talk about first is the QB situation with the New York Giants. It's day, 42,069, right? I think is that what it adds up to? Something like that, of quarterback watch here in New York. And I sit here as a guy who wanted Aaron Rodgers. I'm still waiting for Aaron Rodgers. And I think, and I made this point yesterday, the reason why is because even though I know that we're not getting prime Aaron Rodgers, I still believe that the prime even Jets Aaron Rodgers, number 8 Aaron Rodgers, still is enough to, get this offense to where it needs to be. And that's at least league average. I'm not asking for a lot here, people. I'm not asking for a lot. We're not asking a lot over here at New York Revival. We just want to have an average to above average offense. And sure, would I like a top 5 offense? Of course I do. Would I like a rookie quarterback to come in here and transcend the league like Jane Daniels? Of course I do. But in light of not getting those things, because they're not guaranteed at this point, Aaron Rodgers gives you the best chance to be competitive this year. And I'm willing to wait on that, because what's the alternative? Russell Wilson, he just walked out of Cleveland, who was probably our best competition for him, right? Outside of maybe Pittsburgh, if Aaron Rodgers decides to come here, then you flip-flop Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. But Aaron Rodgers is taking his sweet-ass time, and I'm in no rush to sign anybody either. The Giants shouldn't be either. Russell Wilson's going to be there. He wants to come to New York by all accounts. We'll see, though. We'll see. The countdown is getting tiresome for us fans, probably the front offices who want to move on. There might be money allocated to other positions that we're just waiting on. We're waiting for this to happen. And, the sooner it happens, the better, because the more the time that goes on, the more contempt that grows on my side, the more anger, the more angst, the more nervousness. We need to know. But listen, before we get to anything else, we're going to talk about the quarterback situation. We already have a caller. I want him to join me. Let's bring him in. Kevin, my man, what's going on, sir?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Good. Thanks for joining, my man. Welcome to New York Revival. I'm happy you could join me today.
Yeah, another attic person here.
Your attic,
good place to work.
You guys and my guys are on the same level right here.
Exactly.
Pitch ceiling and everything.
Yep.
How you doing, man? What's on your mind today?
Yeah, so you set it up well. I want to talk about the quarterback a little bit. So I saw what Neighbors said about what his preference is. He said something like bring in a veteran and a rookie. And I think that's actually really smart. And I think I haven't heard anyone suggest this, but what I think they should consider is getting Russ for 2 years and planning to have him for 2 years and getting a rookie either with 3 or, maybe trade up from the second or that 34th pick and give that rookie a real chance to develop behind Russ. And if Russ holds him off for a full year, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't pay him like the Falcons paid Cousins, obviously.
Cousins.
But if we can have Russ for 2 years and have him as in year 2 as a ready to go backup, that's money well spent. And I think the thing that attracted me to Dable in the first place was obviously Josh Allen. And Allen was not a finished product by any means. And they had Tyrod. Right? Didn't they have Tyrod at that time?
Yes, correct.
Around then, maybe I have that wrong, but I think like if you can get and for me, I think Jalen Milroe, like he has a lot of development. He has a lot of rough edges, but he's so explosive and so athletic and so unique in that way. So I think we are in this position where we're sort of in a rush because the staff might get fired, and a smarter, more long-term thinking approach would be get Russ for 2 years and get a project as a quarterback, and you can get Travis Henry at 3. Like we've got a lot of weapons at that point if we can do that. So I just don't want to make a short-term decision just thinking about 2025, which is what I fear we're headed towards.
Right. It's tough, right? Because this is the path they decided to go down, and they put Dable and Shane in this kind of impossible situation. But Dable and Shane also put themselves in this situation, so they're not absolved of it. But you now instead of just drafting your guy last year and maybe having a little bit of a run, now they force themselves into a situation where they have to win now, but they also have to have something for the future, right? And this draft is weird, man. Like the top 2 are pretty inarguable at this point, Cam and Shedeur. And I don't know if you like Shedeur at 3 or not. Depends on your feeling, but Dart seems to be a little bit out of the mix at 34, or you have to trade up, but that's a risky game that you play.
Yeah.
Get him. So the options at that point, Ewers, Milroe, Schuff, some guys like this where you got to find a developmental guy later on, but you can't win with those guys this year. I don't think those particular guys, you're not going to be able to. So they're in this impossible situation where they have to thread the needle. And we talked about it all year long, and they have to perfectly thread the needle at this quarterback position while filling about 5 more holes. And they did a good job of filling some holes this offseason. But there's more holes to be filled and 2 quarterbacks that need to be added, and that's I don't even think it's debatable at this point. You're right on that.
Yeah, and I actually, as much of a problem as I have with Shane and Dable, and I was ready to get rid of him at the end of the year, I give them credit because they didn't just force a QB last year, and I was pretty receptive to that idea. I would have been happy if they'd taken Penix. And sometimes I still kind of wish that they had Penix.
That was the plan. That's the word. The plan was they wanted to trade back up.
Yeah.
That's what the Dart issue is. You don't know when someone's going to reach for a quarterback.
So there was an idea that they would trade from the 2nd to get Penix.
Well, that was the thought process. They liked him. They thought he was going to be there later, if not for the 2nd round pick, possibly with a short trade up. And then the Falcons just blew that whole thing to shit. They decided to take him at 9, and that's the risk, man. You don't know. Maybe a team like the Steelers finds themselves like at 20 saying, hey, we could use a young guy. Maybe Dallas does. Who knows? Maybe you have this weird random team that you didn't expect that wants another quarterback.
Right.
And that's the risk you play with that trade-up game. But you're like you said, Milroe is probably a guy I would also target. Like, if you can get him around 3, that would be a nice little, Yeah,
that'd be really nice. I guess he could. I don't know who knows where these guys would go.
Right.
I would be totally fine with Shedeur at 3. I think if he's supposedly good enough, like he's like the 15th best player, the 20th best player, like you have to take him at 3.
If he's your guy, he's your guy, man.
Yeah,
that's if you're willing to take him at 15 or 20, you should be willing to take him at 3 because that guy's your franchise guy, right? You're taking him in the first round because you think he's that guy. So that's the way I look at it. Whatever they think of him, I don't know. A lot of smoke screens going on and stuff like that. But what it seems like for sure, we're not going to get Cam. It seems like at this point, that's a pipe dream. Seems like Titans are locked in on him.
Man, I wish we had lost.
Yeah,
I think if how would you feel if we had lost and we were first overall pick and if we were going from our season that we had to the off season we are having and we're able to get Cam at first overall, I would feel like we've got something working here. I want to at least see
everything, man.
I want to give them a chance. Like I was so out on them. I actually think that the offseason has been pretty good so far, and I think we've addressed our problem. So that does kill me.
Yeah, it's a tough way that it went. As luck would have it for the Giants recently, everything has ended up with egg on their face. But hey, listen. It's a new season. We're heading in the right direction. It feels like let's hope that this QB decision is another line in the process here that we get a vet in here, then we get a rookie of some sort, and we keep moving forward. But Kevin, appreciate you for calling in, my man. Thanks for joining. On. Yeah. As always, great hearing you, and hope to have you back another Friday, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you, dude. Later. All right. Hey, that's where the conundrum is, right? The conundrum is that we're trying to play the long game and a short game, and Dane and Shabel have a huge hand in this. And I will die on the hill. I always say this, but Mara had a huge hand in this as well. And it's just the way that it broke out, and this is the way it's going to happen. They are going to have to play this perfectly. Get lucky on a developmental quarterback. Get lucky on someone falling to 3. Get lucky that a vet chooses you. It's all just feeling like a prayer right now, but hey, you never know. But listen, without further ado, we have another special guest coming in, a long-time supporter and a long-time just giant icon in the content game. All right, let's bring him in. Without further ado, Mr. Charlie Vacchiano. Let's go. What's up, Charlie?
Hey, my man. How are you?
How are we doing today, sir?
Hey, look, it's cool that you guys are doing this. Phone calls and stuff. That's cool. But where's Al Jefe? Where's Vibe?
Some say that they have other things to do right now that are work related, but others say that they don't want to hear the noise. They don't want to hear Charlie. They don't want to hear you coming at them. I get it. They're ducking you, bro. They're ducking you.
Yeah, that's what they do. Hey, look, I look at this way. Our biggest problem is our offense, right? We can't score more than 15 points a game.
Yep.
So what do they do in free agency? They go defense, right? This is ridiculous. And then we get 2 cow chips, 2 offensive tackles who are horrible. The guy in Seattle was horrible. And the guy in Cleveland is barely a backup swing tackle. And the guy's right. And they're not going to use him he's not going to be a real swing tackle because they're not going to use him at left tackle when Thomas goes down, which he always does every year. They're going to move Aluminum over to the left and stick him on the right. So he's not really even a swing tackle, for one thing. So they spent all this money on the defense. And so you think this defense is going to hold people under 15 points a game, even with Holland, even with a Dumbo? No, they're not. Again, they should have gone after offensive line. They have not fixed this offensive line yet. And they're so delusional that they think they're a quarterback away. And that Shane Insane said, the cupboard's not bare. It is. And Dable said, we're just need good quarterback play. So you really think you're going to get good quarterback play from a 41-year-old guy who can't move anymore, who's been injured and will probably get injured again. And if he's smart, he'll go to Pittsburgh because he won't want to play on MetLife turf anymore. If he's smart, that's where he'll go. So now you're left with Wilson, right? And I'm fine, bring Wilson in. But do not think you're bringing Wilson in and you can get a second-tier quarterback. You have to get your first-tier quarterback. This whole season is not about winning. Have you seen our schedule? It is not about winning. If we win 5 games, it will be a miracle, right? So this season is about finding your franchise quarterback. And if you need to move up and get a Ward, if he's your guy, get him. Or if Sanders drops at 3, get him. Because this whole season is about getting the quarterback and getting the right quarterback and getting the franchise guy. And just like New England did last year, they were 4-13, but they knew they had their quarterback. And that's what, for me, this season's all about, is knowing that we got our quarterback. In 2025, you're not going to win anything. 2026, that's when you start trying to win something and maybe get into the playoffs. And maybe these 2 guys won't be here. It won't matter because we've got our quarterback, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, I just don't understand why they are spending so heavily on the defensive side of the ball. And they're happy with, they're bringing all their old linemen back. They brought Van Rotten back. They brought Stinney back. You know, they got the same old guys back here. And you think It just doesn't make sense to me. And just defense is not going to stop people.
I hear you, Charlie. But listen, this is what the plan is here. They've got now a very young secondary. Talented, we'll find out how talented, right? They added the kid Golston from the Cowboys, bolstered the front seven a little bit. Now, defensive tackle. This is the draft to get a defensive tackle, right? You find your starter somewhere in that first 3 rounds. You plug him in next to Dex. In my opinion, the defense is set at that point. You've now created at least what should be above average unit, right? Like there's not too many holes at that point. Now the rest of those resources, be it free agency, however much money you have left, draft, number 3, whatever it is, you hit offense hard. The rest of these, you have 8 draft picks. One of them should be allocated to defensive tackle. The rest should be going into the offense, right? So
Right.
You find your quarterback potentially. You find your second running back to pair with Tracy. Maybe a wide receiver slips to you, but if not, you find yourself another offensive guard to compete with what looks like Neal and Van Roten, which again, nothing to scream home about, but we finally have an offensive line coach who looks like he could coach somebody up, right? The offensive line, as bad as we thought it was still the best that's been recently last year. I know it's still not good. I know it's still not, but this is what the thought process is, right? All the investments from now on, Charlie, is going to offense. They've basically secured defense outside of one spot. So whether the plan works out or not, we're here to find out. But I understand the worry from you, Charlie. I understand.
They can't. The problem is they're going into this delusional. They're going into it thinking the cupboard is not bare, thinking that they're one quarterback away. But the quarterback
They're dying on that hill. They're dying on it.
Exactly. And that quarterback away is not Rodgers.
Yeah.
And, Wilson is, I don't know what he's got left. Fine, bring Wilson in. But I would rather see, I don't think the starter matters. The bridge guy matters. Don't pay him a lot of money. You can bring in Winston. You can bring in Wentz. I would like
Might as well be
Minshew,
Wirtz.
but he's gone, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter who that guy is. Get your quarterback. Get a Ward. Just move up. Give up what you have to get him if the Titans are willing to, right?
Yeah.
And
I
just
don't know
get
if
him,
they're going to, but you're right.
and then go from there.
Yeah.
To me, that's all it's about is just the quarterback, the young quarterback, the franchise guy. And if he's not the guy, then next year you got to take another swing. And if he's not the guy, you got to take another swing, right?
I don't
that's
disagree
the
with
way
that
it
thought
is.
process.
So,
Agreed.
and
Agreed, my man.
Rodgers is such a prima donna. Just
He
make
is.
stupid mind up. And I think he's going to Pittsburgh anyway. He'd like to go to Minnesota, but I don't know if they're going to bite on it. And Wilson's here today, and if the Giants are smart, they won't let him leave the building. If they really want that guy, and they want to spend all this money, which I don't know why they would, but they seem like they're going to, then get him and don't let him leave. Because if he leaves, he'll end up somewhere else.
Hey, Jameis
Hey,
down,
man.
maybe. Charlie, you're the best. Appreciate you as always, my man. If you guys aren't aware of Charlie's game, find him in the spaces. Find him running the spaces. Find him on BBK. You'll find him anywhere you listen to Giants content. Charlie, you're the man. Legend.
Thank you,
Love
man.
my man. Peace. Oh man, that's the great Charlie Facciano. If you listen to anything Giants related over the last decade, you know who Charlie is. He's just the ray of sunshine. The ray of sunshine in the Giants content game that we all love and need. I love that man, and there's some truth to what he says, man. Listen, you come out of this process with Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers, and then say you go defense at number 3, you are still hinging your hopes to two over the hill quarterbacks. And yes, maybe it gets you through this year, but if it gets you to 7 and 8 wins this year, you are out of next year's quarterback race, right? And then you're right back to where you started. And God forbid one of them gets hurt or has a down season. What are you looking at that point? What do you look? You've wasted the money on the quarterback. Our head coach and GM are probably gone, and you're staring at quarterback hell into the abyss again. So it depends on how much they like Shedeur, because if you want to really secure your job for now and the future, get yourself a quarterback for now, you're a veteran, and get your quarterback of the future. And it has to be, in my opinion, at 3. I don't think it's Dart. I don't think Ward falls. Shedeur, man, it looks like you have to draft Shedeur at 3. And I mean, I know a lot of you out there do not subscribe to that. I know a lot of you want your Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter if he's there. And then, if you trade back Graham, I like that. But realistically, it depends. I guess it depends what your flavor is, right? So the question then becomes, and what Charlie alluded to, is that these guys think that they're a quarterback away, right? They're a quarterback away. Now, the question becomes, quarterback away from what? Are you a quarterback away from contending for a Super Bowl? Hell no. Hell no. Let's all be realistic here. I am Mr. Glass Half Full. That is my name. That's my moniker. That's how I live my life. But I'm not kidding myself here. This is not something that a quarterback away from competing for a Super Bowl. Hell, even for NFC championship game at this point. What you want to do is be a quarterback away from contending for the playoffs and just being in the mix in December. Giants fans, and I know it's a low bar. I know it's a defeatist mindset to think like that, but you got to start somewhere, right? You can't go from one of the worst teams in the league to one of the best teams in the league in 1 year. It doesn't happen that way. You'd be lucky if you got your star quarterback and the Commanders, maybe it does, but I don't know if that guy exists in this particular draft. What you have to do is build up your team in free agency with solid veterans, and it looks like the Giants have done that. Then you have to find your next couple of young pieces to stack 2 drafts together, good drafts together, which if Joe Schoen can do that, you have now had an influx about 8+ starters / bench players that are young, cost-controlled, and give you a chance against the Commanders and the Cowboys. And hell, even the Eagles. Maybe you slip in a win here every once in a while against the Eagles, right? Would it hurt them to slip in a win every once in a while against the Eagles? They're acting like they don't lose to any bad teams. Can we just be competitive? It looks by all accounts that Dallas is going to take a little bit of a step back here. They haven't made – there's no needle-moving moves that they have made. If you want to say Miles Sanders is a needle-moving move, I will respectfully disagree, wholeheartedly, actually, because that doesn't do shit for me. And Cooper Kupp has been rumored to be going there, but now they're squashing that rumor. What are they throwing out that's scary to you outside of the Dak and CeeDee Lamb combination? And yes, they have a good young tight end. They still have Parsons on the defensive side, still have a decent defense, but we talked about closing the gap last year. I truly do feel like the Giants have closed the gap, and they're QB away from getting into that second echelon and not being in the basement anymore, right? You are competing with Dallas at that point. You're competing with the Commanders, who I still don't believe. Yes, Jay Daniels is a fantastic young QB, but their team is not this juggernaut yet, right? With a good defense and controlling the trenches maybe a little bit and some upgraded quarterback play, you should be able to compete with the Washington Commanders still. And that's where I think that we're a quarterback away from being a playoff contender. And that it's not good enough yet, but it's a start, right? You can't jump from 0 to 60 right away. You have to get to 30 at some point. You have to go through 30 to get to 60. And if we can get to 30 and start trending back upwards and not downwards again, I don't want another top 10 pick. Then you find yourself, hey, we might have the right GM here. Maybe he's learned from his mistakes, or he just got lucky, or we have our coach. They won't get fired if they win 7+ games, and that's where they got to get to. And again, it's threading the needle here. We talked about it all the time. You have to get a vet, but I want to also now pivot one more time. And listen, the link's in here. I want to hear from you people. Please give us a call. Come in. We already had 2 callers. I want to hear from everybody else. Don't be shy, because we can talk about whatever you want. Yankees, Mets, Rangers, Knicks, Giants, Jets, whatever you guys want, I'm here to talk to you about. It's a phone call Friday. But what I want to pivot to, if you'll allow me to, is this notion that what do talking heads talk about when they talk about the Giants. We're still at the Saquon talk, right? We're still talking about how Saquon was disrespected and let go of, and that for whatever reason, the Giants will never be able to get over that. Players don't want to come here. The Giants don't treat their players right. They still don't have a quarterback. So, those two reasons, no quarterback, Saquon situation, those are two reasons why the Giants are still the dumpster of the NFL, the talk of the town, the flavor of the week, whatever you want to say. Those two reasons are why the Giants are still in the major talk. And you would think that the Giants were, by far the worst team in the league with how they're talked about in the NFL circles and by the NFL media. They are always talked about. It's shocking, and I guess maybe it's because they have a top 3 pick this year, so there's still this aura around them. I guess they're still a flagship franchise, as much as people don't want to say that they are. It's beyond me. The Saquon thing is so cooked. It couldn't be more cooked. I don't know when this conversation ends. Maybe it ends this year when they draft another running back and they fix their offensive line and they have maybe they have to have a great running game. Maybe then it'll end. I don't know how many ways you can slice this as the media has, but the Giants made the right decision by them. It's unfortunate where Saquon ended up, and it's unfortunate that we lost what looks like a Hall of Fame talent, and it's due to the massive misses by both GMs, Dave Gettleman and Joe Schoen, for not building an offensive line good enough to showcase his talents. I understand that, but we have to get past this, right? Because if we say it all the time, if Saquon signed back here, Saquon would not have been the Saquon that we saw this past year with the Eagles. He wouldn't be a top 3 talent. He wouldn't be a top 2, top 1. He wouldn't have got re-upped. It would just be same old miserable, Saquon, who had to carry a bad offense. And then we're even more angry for Joe Schoen for saying, hey, why do we sign this guy back again only to waste him again? Waste another year on it. I don't understand when we're going to get over this period, because, and I guess it's going to be when we get a QB, right? I guess it's going to be when we change the aura about us. It's just the one punching bag thing they keep going back to. If you get a QB, it eliminates the QB conversation. If you get a QB, you forget about the Saquon conversation because the offense is now starting to run better, right? It's tiresome. It's boring. And you have guys like Stephen A. Smith is just spouting this, who is apparently a Giants fan, but you would never know. Like, how he was mistreated is going to affect players from coming. Did it affect Adebo coming? Did it affect Golston coming? Did it affect the top safety in the market coming? Sorry, top cornerback in Adebo, top safety in the market in Holland. Yet here we are saying that these players don't want to be here anymore. Do you hear anybody else in the locker room clamoring to be traded? Has Burns come out and wanted to get traded since signing? Do you hear about Dex wanting to be traded, or Andrew Thomas? Where are these people that don't want to be here? This all revolves around how the perception of Saquon Barkley being treated was. And if it wasn't for freaking Hard Knocks, we probably wouldn't be here either, right? Everything was caught on camera. And you know why nobody else wants to be on Hard Knocks? Because it probably happened pretty similarly in a lot of other places. There's probably people that say the wrong things at some point, and if they were caught on camera, we'd probably be making fun of them too. And there's no GM in the league or head coach in the league or front office in the league that wants any part of that anymore. They don't want to be caught on camera because, listen, there's going to be things that are said behind the scenes that are not right by a lot of people. Or there's going to be a lot more that was said that wasn't caught by cameras, but the perception is what was caught on camera is fact, right? It's the only thing that's happened, right? No other discussions have happened. Giants didn't, I don't think, know what they got into, and they set the precedence in the worst kind of way. Just like everything else that happened in 2024, everything turned up just terribly for this team and this front office. And you're seeing now that everybody else is deathly afraid of this show to the point where it's killed. It's done. They don't even have anybody that wants, not even like a bad franchise is like, hey, we want to be on TV to, help our ratings. No, nobody wants a part of this. And, it's unfortunate the way it's played out, but can we please, for the love of everything that's holy, move on from the Saquon talk? We understand it didn't shake out the way it should have, but you're literally crying over spilt milk. There's opportunity here to move on, and we'll see how they do it, right? Now it's time for Joe Schoen and Brian Dable to put their money where their mouth is. And I do believe that they can do it. So, we sit here on this Friday, March 14th, still quarterbackless. Russell Wilson came in here today. Don't know how the meeting went. It'll be interesting to see what the Giants' thoughts are here. Now, because if Russell Wilson walks out those doors and goes back to wherever he goes at this point, the Giants are clearly still waiting on the great Aaron Rodgers, who's roaming the beaches, smoking a couple doobies, maybe on some more ayahuasca. I don't know. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers does. I don't know what the fucking holdup is, because I'm so listen. I'm so sick and tired of this man already, and he hasn't even been on a team. And you guys know me. If anybody has listened to me over the last 2-3 months, I've been the one leading the Aaron Rodgers charge. When people say, "Hey, I don't want this guy. I don't want this guy. He's going to cause drama. He's going to cause, all this chaos." And I'm getting sick and tired of it already. I'm getting sick and tired of the antics, the waiting. What's going to come after this? I don't know. I'm pushed to the point where I don't want to be involved in this race anymore. I just want to have a decision. Can we get Wilson in here already? And I don't know if this is a put pressure on Aaron Rodgers thing or genuine interest in Russell Wilson. I don't know. I know that Russell Wilson wants to be a Giant by all accounts. I know Sierra wants to be in New York by all accounts. So I'm worried that this is going to be going on for too long. I'm worried I'm going to lose my fucking mind, and I got to get angry about having Aaron Rodgers here when he does sign, and I'm going to be resentful for it. I just need Aaron Rodgers to make a decision. He knows the cards on the table, right? He knows Pittsburgh Steelers roster. He knows the New York Giant roster. It's not going to change very significantly between now and the draft, right? What's the holdup? What are you waiting for? This dream, this trip that you're going to go on? What are you waiting for? Just make a decision. I feel like Ryan Gosling in a Notebook. Make a decision already. I'm so fed up with this whole process, and this is why he drove Jet fans insane. This is why he's no longer a Jet. This is why he's no longer a Packer. And I know this was coming. I knew this was coming. I knew the drama was coming, but I still am willing to wait because you know what? Hall of Fame quarterbacks don't come around often. And I know Aaron Rodgers isn't a Hall of Fame quarterback anymore. He's not playing at that level anymore. But I'll sign up for 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, nearly 4,000 yards, playing on a mended Achilles. I'll take that. And it's just funny to me how there's these people that, turn their nose up at, hey, it comes with drama, and I hate what listen, we could use a little drama and some winning too. We could use a good quarterback up here. And you have to deal with a little bit of drama to get to this, just maybe for this year. If you draft your quarterback, you have your opportunity to replace Aaron Rodgers next year or trade him or deal with him. Or, hey, listen, he lights it up. He's having a good time. I don't think there'll be as much drama here as you make it seem. But I'm willing to wait for that guy, number 8 in the Jets, not number 12 on the Packers, number 8 on the Jets, to come here, throw for 25 touchdowns for the first time in Giants quarterback recency, right? Eli Manning was the last one that threw for those numbers, nearly 4,000 yards. I'm willing to wait on that. That makes everybody else better. It makes your defense that has become, more well-rounded better. It makes your offense that still have some holes better. Theo Johnson becomes better. Slayton becomes better. Wandell Robinson becomes better. Tracy becomes better. It just makes everybody better. And I know there's more holes, but they can be plugged by a great quarterback. Pause. Now we have another person waiting to talk to us here. Another day oneer, another revivalist of the month. Sees the freaking moment. Let's go. What's going on, my man?
What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? I am.
How you doing, my man?
I'm just driving to get some fertilizer.
Hey, it's a beautiful day, man. Get that
Yeah.
fertilizer. Get those things planted out there.
yeah. The thing
It's on
that
your mind,
bothers-
Sees?
not much. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, bro.
Okay. The thing that bothers me with Rogers is that he reached out to us, right? He reached out to us, asking us to see if we had any interest in him because he had no market, and then the rest of the league is kind of like, well, wait a second, if he's reaching out to the Giants, then I mean maybe we do need to reach out to him. So like my thing has always been like, why don't we have any type of loyalty or any type of like, man, you know what, they're committed to us, we're committed to them, and we're gonna get this thing done. But, for me, I just look at it and I say, like, if you wanted to be here, you'd be here by now. It's almost like the girl. It's
For
almost
sure.
like the girlfriend that, like, you keep trying to get with, but like, like she's like, oh well, maybe we'll go out soon. Maybe we'll da 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 da.
Mhm.
Like, if you really wanted to be with me, then like we would have been at Outback. We would have been at Ruth Chris. We would have been
Facts.
at Capitol Grill,
Facts.
whatever. But like. Like I just look at it like we're such a desperate franchise that we're waiting on a man
Yeah.
that doesn't even know what he wants to do. Meanwhile, we're letting like guys like Russ go, Gardner Minshew go, like, and I'm not saying these guys are needle movers, don't get me wrong, but I just look at it like we're just such a downtrodden franchise, right? I heard you say what you said about Barkley still being the what is it, like the dark cloud over the franchise, right? And it's just like we can't get that together until we put wins on the board, until we put wins on the table.
Facts. You're right. I mean, listen, it's what you want, right? Like, do you want to wait for that hot girl? Do you want to wait for her to maybe say yes to you, or you're settle for that 6 or 7, that's not as hot as the 8 or 9, but she wants you and you feel better and you can move on as a person, as a couple together and probably be better off, right? So it's where they lie and how you're right. There's a bit of desperation, but
right. You wait long enough. You ain't gonna have nobody to go to prom with.
Facts. That's the risk. The weird thing is nobody else. There's no more dates to be had at this prom. So it's like Russell Wilson. He's sitting there. He's waiting for us to say yes. Just waiting for us. Because if the Browns really wanted him, he would have been there too, right? But like he's not there yet. So he's talking to us. He's like, hey, listen, this is gonna be good. This is gonna work. And we're like, yeah, I know it'll work probably, but this one might make it even better. So we're in this unbelievably terrible spot right now, and this is the spot we chose. This is the spot we chose by bringing these two guys back. It was always going to be a shitty situation, but like, in your opinion, is there a huge gap between Russell Wilson and Rodgers right now? Little gap or no gap at all? Nah, negligible. Like, yeah. So if there's no gap, it should be an easy decision, right? Like, fuck off, Rodgers. It's time to move on. So we'll see. Maybe he doesn't leave today.
There's something that makes me wonder if they want Rodgers for 2 years and Russ for 1, right? And I thought about this in the sense that maybe 3 is not such a slam dunk quarterback as we're thinking. And I say that because if they get a guy like Rodgers to stay for 2 years, then maybe you can look at a guy like Milroe, which means that like your first round pick is wide open for whatever it is that you want, because you're probably going to get Milroe late first, early second, right?
Yeah,
And I thought about
it's weird. Listen, I'm a Milrow fan. You're preaching to the choir here. You're preaching to the choir. Like, he's a guy that needs 2 years of development, right? You don't want to throw him in early, and you take the rust lumps. And listen, if he has to play, a couple of games or two, fine. Like, let him. You do a run-based offense around him, and you give him some deep shots here and there. Throw it to neighbors. Not very much unlike how Willis, transpired. Willis now with the Packers, lo and behold, he looks pretty decent, right? He looks pretty decent, but he needed 2 years of development, and development by some say a better QB coach or head coach in LaFleur. So, the Russ Milrow combination, or if it's Russ Ewers too, that might not be your guy, but if it's their guy, then so be it. But they need a vet and a developmental guy no matter what. I think they need a young guy no matter what.
I only said Milrow because Dayball likes to run the quarterback, and that guy runs like a deer.
It makes sense. He got a good arm. He likes to run. It checks out. He checks all the boxes. It just, and then you're theoretically making your defense not elite, but really high end. If you draft Hunter, or Abdul Carter, in a perfect world, in my perfect world, I want Mason Graham. You stack them up next to Dex hopefully in a little bit of a trade back. You get more picks. You got Dex and Mason Graham. They're going to feed families for a long time over there in the middle of the Giants defense.
Can I downshift on you for 5 seconds?
Go.
What do you think about Mikal Bridges coming out saying what he said to Thibodeau?
Oh,
because I brought that up. I brought that up to you guys before in previous.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, Tibbs runs them guys ragged, man.
That's always, and I was hoping that at the beginning of the season it was going to be different, but it isn't different. And the message was the right one. Who it came from, given the how the season has transpired, wasn't the right person to probably deliver that message, because Mikal Bridges, through no fault of his own, was traded for a haul. He was expected to be a guy, and he hasn't really been a guy. So for that guy that's been under so much scrutiny recently to come out and say that, that's where I think that combo of things made it a tough listen. But what he said was right. They need the bench, whether that bench is going to lead them to fail or not. They need to lessen up the minutes on these starters, or else they're going to burn them down, just like all the Chicago Bulls teams, just like all the Knicks teams. This is going to happen. It's been proven. So there's a lot of people questioning Thibodeau at this point, questioning whether he could be the guy, and it's for that reason. What's one of the main reasons? Can he take this team over to the next hump? Can he play the guys he needs to play? So again, right message, wrong person delivering for the Mikal situation, man. But
thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And you tell me, what about this? Is Paul George trading him 1 year after signing him thing? Is it just blow up time? It's blow up time in Philly.
I gotta see what we do with the draft pick. If we can get Ron Harper's son, Ace Bailey, or Cooper Flagg. Well, but I will say this though. I will say this. I'm bothered by this Rutgers team for not being able to make the tournament with all that talent.
Let's not talk about that. I'm very frustrated by that.
That's a red flag for me. Almost like when Ben Simmons couldn't get LSU into the tournament. It's not a high bar to make the tournament. So
it was rough. It was rough, man. No, I hear you. And Harper missed a couple of games, which affected it. Listen, when you're putting that much stock into two freshmen and not a lot else around them, a lot of other freshmen around him, it has the ability to blow up like it did. And Peichel, he's a good coach, but he might not be able to get the best out of his talented offensive players, and that might be just the way it is. Maybe he needs these old veterans to keep around and to play him for 4 years. But how good is that? Like, what's your upside to having Peichel at that point? There's no point.
I know.
It's frustrating. I agree, my man. But hey, let's see how the draft transpires. Hey, appreciate you for coming on, though, C's. Either way,
no
appreciate you, my man. Good looks. Good seeing you, buddy. All right, listen, we talked about it all on this Friday. Eli, what's up, my man? We missed you today. Jeff, we missed you today. Watch out for Jeff, a new skit coming out. Maybe it has to do with a couple of quarterbacks in the quarterback race for the Giants, quote unquote race. Keep your ears to the ground for that one because it's going to be big. I cannot wait for it. Thank you guys for joining me on this phone call Friday. Everybody that's called in, C's, Charlie, Kev, we appreciate you all. Love doing these things, and we're going to keep opening these lines up for you because we want to hear from you. Hopefully, by next Tuesday, next Revival show, we have ourselves a quarterback. This ends the quarterback watch of 2025. I'm done with it. Thank you all the 240 that are here rocking with me. We'll get in some Mets and Yankees talk. Lots of injuries on both sides. Hate to see it for the Yankees. Cole done for the season. Hill down for 3 months. Stanton up in the air. Who knows? Mets losing their starting catcher. It's a shit show in New York right now. Mets, I still think, have enough to overcome. Yankees is going to be very interesting to see what steps they take to contend in a weak AL. There's not a lot that needs to be done, but there's still more to be done to compete. You got the Red Sox nipping at their heels now, so we'll talk more about baseball as it goes on. But right now, we're in the thick of it for football. We're going to be having a lot of good guests coming up. Talking draft, we have the People's Mock Draft still coming up. We're heading to the draft, as you guys have known. So it's going to be real fun, real electric here at Revival. Thank you again for rocking with me, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Mr. Glass Half Full checking out.
New York Revival, I'm in the building.
Let's go.
Live with the Woodward Roar!
Let's go.